we can start. I think all of the colleagues that invited already joined this meeting.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so
Would you like me to start, or would you like to open,
yeah.
Ibu Ari?
So I will open and I will offer to you, Pak Irun. So Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good afternoon to all colleagues that join this meeting today. So this is the bilateral meeting between Invest and the Ministry of Public Works, especially Director General Water Resources, as a grantee and the leading by the competent authority under the Directorate River and Coast, and the implementing unit with the Balai, Pemali Juwana, and also Balai Cimanuk Cisanggaro. And join with us is also from the Bureau Planning and International Cooperation under the Secretary General. So this all of the member from our side, from the Minister of Public Works, and then from the Netherlands, Pak Irun from the Invest, and also the representative from the Netherlands Embassy in Jakarta. They already joined, Mbak Asa, and all of the participants. Once again, thank you to join this meeting. So today's meeting, the bilateral meeting, focus the discussion regarding the coordination with the Invest International, and also with the consultants already hired through the develop to build schemes, the grant technical assistance to prepare for the coastal protection in North Java.
Exactly.
In North Java coast. So welcome, Pak Ivo. I'm sorry we start earlier. So I will offer to Pak Irun because we received your letter from the Invest International on the August 4th. Then 2 days ago we already discussed some technical parts, and then now we continue the discussion with some pending issue or matters that not yet finished to discuss. In parallel with that, we finalized the minutes of meeting that on the Tuesday meeting, maybe we can compile all of the result of the discussion and to be bring on the to be bring on the table on the 19th and 20th workshop. If all of the issue are already settled between us, so I think the workshop can be decided what is the goals for the first stage of the D2B stage. Yeah. So I will over to Pak Irun, please, Pak Irun.
Thank you, Ibu Ari. Thank you all for joining again today. Indeed, we wanted to follow up on the letters that we had sent, as well as on the discussion from last Tuesday and other discussions we've had since then, to make sure that we are heading jointly in the same direction. In that sense, we've obviously are asking the consultants now to finalize their inception report. And the inception report should state the scope of the project, the timeline for deliverables and activities. It should be clear from the inception report our joint agreement in terms of the consultancy's activities from now. And with that in mind, we have been requesting these meetings such that we are all aligned, because there have been, we understand now, discussions also between PU and BOPPJ with regards to the boundary setting of the project. And I think that there were a couple of discussions or outcomes from the discussion where we are still looking at, okay, but where should we aim the D2B funded consultancy, and that needs to be reflected in the inception report, and where are other activities that perhaps fall within the SMI funded master planning and design scope. And so with that in mind, there are a couple of, I think, key points to discuss today, where we as Invest International have a position and a clear idea of which direction we would like to take this going forward. And we would like to put that on the table for conversation with you. perhaps as a starting point, one of the discussions has been the geographic focus. We have obviously, by speaking with you, with the Kemenko IPK, BOPPJ, and Bappenas, it has become very clear in the last 3 months that there was a lot of attention to the Semarang Demak area. Hence, we have also said, okay, in our letter, we therefore responded to say, should we then not concentrate our efforts on the Demak area? And that has been the position in the last discussion on Tuesday. I think the outcome there was more to say, we would like you to focus on the northeast of Demak. But for Cirebon, the focus should be on a pre-feasibility study now. And also there is the conversation around, okay, how can we best take that forward? If there is a pre-feasibility study for Cirebon, is there also the interest and the financing available to take it forward beyond the pre-feasibility study? We have seen the prioritization, I think, that BOPPJ has with regards to the activities on the north coast of Java, where Cirebon was also mentioned as one of the areas for construction of efforts. And we would like to also hear from you what your ideas are for Cirebon going forward. But for this assignment, for this D2B assignment, we would like to focus indeed on the northeast of Demak. What we are not keen to take on is the area behind the offshore dike. There is a specific question regarding the interface and the contracting procurement approach. We see that the most appropriate procurement approach for that assignment and activity should be within, or at least directed by one entity, such that you get to an aligned design and implementation perspective. Having said that, I think that's also what we mentioned on Tuesday. If we are financing or funding with studies a certain area, then that area or that particular proposal that we put in place, if indeed feasible and agreed with you and the Ministry of Finance and Bappenas, we would finance that with the financing that we have. So we're not putting in place studies for areas that we're not financing, and that regards particularly the water reservoir dike or what it may be behind the offshore area. So that's an area that we are not interested in taking forward. Maybe we start there with the discussion, because there are a couple of other points that I can make going forward, but maybe we can start with this point.
Okay, so we start with that point. Maybe I will also invite our colleagues from the technical perspective, from the Directorate Foreign if you want to jump in, then it's fine, to give some more explanation than I explain for the the confirmation, continuing the last meeting with Director River and Coast. So let me start for the geographic focus first. So the first, saya bisa minta tolong yang tadi, sir. So for the geographic focus that we already agreed that in the last Tuesday meeting, we will together do the feasibility study for the Demak and Cirebon. So this is the first stage for the D2B before we decided go for the second stage for the D2B. So for the feasibility study, I think for this bottleneck discussion last Tuesday, this is for the reservoir that will be built because of the offshore dike. But we are, as I mentioned in the Tuesday meeting, that we are focused on the onshore dike. So I think we still Within this FS, we will study for the feasibility study with the green line for the cost for the onshore, and then for the Demak area, and also feasibility study we include for the Cirebon. So for the implementations, as you say in the last Tuesday meeting, the Cirebon, kalau saya salah nanti ditambah ya, Mas Hendra. So maybe this is for the Cirebon. The BOPPG, I think, have some kind of plan on this A zone, but we have the critical situation on the zone B. So I think for the coastal protection, still in line with if we do some activities in the zone B. So for the feasibility study, I don't know. I'm sure that this is for the Cirebon can be included with all of this location or focus in zone B. But maybe Pak Hendra will add on this, yeah, for the Cirebon. So the zone B, I think it's the critical point for the coastal protection, but with the zone, but I think still not. I mean, still in line with the Badan Otorita. I hope, yeah, because it's not mentioned in the master plan that already ongoing by Badan Otorita. Of course, it's not overlap, but we still need of on that part in zone B. So I think this is can we say this is our corridor to start for the Cirebon. But if the FS can be included for all of this zone A and B, that that I want to hear from you. So this is the first stage. Ke selanjutnya yang so yeah, this is the final conclusion. I mean, final agreement with Badan Otorita. That's that Tuesday meeting already share or present, but in bahasa as signed by the Pak Direktur River and Coast and Badan Otorita. There's 3 points that the grant from Invest International focus on the providing the under the Ministry of Public Works will provide for the DED coastal dike, and then adjust with the master plan design from Badan from for Pantura for POPPJ. Then the PTSMI for the basic design for segment 12. That's through the PDF facility. Then accept the coastal embankment in the coastal protection in the mine. So and then that one is Badan Otorita will propose adjustment the scope in the format of the FS and the DD of the seawall, and then to be submitted Minister of Finance through PDF facility. That's not beyond our authority. So I think the first and the second point is clear. So it's already signed on the August 3rd, 2026 between Badan Otorita and the Directorate River and Coast as a competent authority and the PTSMI. So this is the clear scope that we can continue for D2B stage. Next, so this is the that's I want to discuss after your first point. Next fase regarding the governance of this project. Enggak, yang bukan yang ini. Yang stage 1. Terus yeah. So we will have some kind decision on this phase. So the feasibility the FS feasibility study, so it will become the first phase. So will include all of the FS, Demak and Cirebon, and preliminary design, and it will be supporting document for the Green Book proposal. So I think the deliverable is around December. So if you I mean, if the invest agree that we can conclude this first phase with the FS Demak Cirebon, and then after that we will see how much for the implementation for the coastal protection itself that may be covered in our proposal for the green book. So if the such amount, I mean, mentioned in the blue book is not sufficient, that we will see how's the response from the National Bappenas and Ministry of Finance. If they have some kind of positive response to support on these activities, then we can continue propose for the implementations. That's the boundary from your side, that if we that invest cannot start with the DD, cannot then not implement by the funding from the invest. So I think this is our response from the first topic, Pak Irun. Is there anything left for this before we go to the
Yeah, no,
procurement?
maybe from my side to respond to a couple of the items. First of all, maybe Cirebon. We have indicated also, practically speaking, from a timeline perspective, that for this consultancy assignment, we're looking at the pre-feasibility study activity. What we are saying, however, is that if we are providing a pre-feasibility study, we do want to know whether there is going to be financing to take that forward, because otherwise we're funding a study for nothing. And that's something that Invest International is not very interested in. So and then the second point there is the difference between Zone A and Zone B. If it's unclear whether Zone B is a priority, then we would only focus on Zone A. If Zone A is with BOPPJ, maybe they need to indicate indeed whether this is something that they would like to take forward. If they say no, Zone B is also a priority, is it then the question of should there be a pre-feasibility study for Zone A and Zone B? And how can we move beyond that? Regarding Zone B, if that becomes an offshore solution, is that still then with PU? Or will it then shift to BOPPJ? Because I think that is part of the discussions constantly have been PU will prioritize coastal structures if it's onshore, whereas BOPPJ will look at offshore solutions. And I don't know whether for Cirebon that logic also applies, or whether you're looking at a different competences or division of labor, let's say.
Yeah. For the pre-FS itself, we still commit that it can be covered for the two area. We understand that the invest budget should be clear to finance for the implementations, but we cannot be the total finance for the investment is still not clear how much we needed for the onshore, especially in the Demak area. So if still possible, we continue for the Cirebon. So under the pre-FS, I hope the information is there so we can decide it for the continuation of the Cirebon area. That's my response first. And the second, regarding the Zone A and Zone B, actually the Zone A is aligned with the Badan Otorita Master Plan, but Zone B is not inside in the Badan Otorita Master Plan, but it's the critical because of the tidal flood, very high and the criticals coastal. So I think this is become the onshore. But I will invite Pak Hendra because from the technical perspective, and also he always join with the Badan Otorita discussion for technical things. So I will invite Pak Hendra for respond first for the MA and the pre-FS and others that we already discussed, Pak Hendra, and also for the Cirebon. I will over to Pak Hendra, please, Pak.
Thank you, Bu Arif, Pak Irun, Pak Ivo. Yeah, let me talk about Cirebon first, Bari, if I may add some information, because around 2 or 3 weeks ago, BPPG conducted the workshop for Cirebon area. For the workshop for the preparation for the master plan, actually. And they understand that Zone A and Zone B both are critical. So they get the input from Balai that also the Zone B is very important. So maybe for Zone A, there will be uh, two types of dikes, so onshore and offshore dike. But for Zone B, it's still under discussion. It will be coastal dike or offshore dike. So in our perspective from PU, actually Zone B is very critical. So if the offshore dike is will be built for in the near future, so we need the coastal dike as soon as possible, Byron, for Zone B.
Here, Pa.
So yeah.
Maybe to respond, we had done obviously a report initially where I think the proposal for Cirebon was a much smaller area, focused on I think 8.23 to 8.31 or 32, and more the city and front of there. So this is already a difference between what we had initially scheduled to be doing and focusing on. So we also have to consider that within the assignment we've given the consultants, the scope in terms of geography is larger than we initially had planned for.
Yeah.
But actually, yeah, so that's something we need to take into account.
Yes, and we understand that, but so on Tuesday before we had the meeting, I have get a call from Balai that I confirmed to them to assure that they have some typical design. So for the existing facility, they have some kind like design or drawing. So they will give that information to the consultant. I think the working load for the consultant will not be very heavy in this Zone B, actually. Yeah. We will help you on that.
Yeah, clear. And then what I think would be perhaps feasible and logical is to look at this from a pre-feasibility perspective, such that you know at the end, indicatively at least, what is the financing need for these type of structures, because I think that is what we need to also discuss with you and with Papanas to see what type of allocation is needed, and with BOPPJ, of course, if there's a division of activities in terms of Zone A or Zone B, who takes forward what, also in terms of either a new Blue Book proposal or an update of a Blue Book proposal. And these are the type of questions that will come out of such an exercise, I would imagine.
Yeah, we will follow the process, Byron, after we have the pre-FS result, maybe.
Yeah, okay, that's clear. Yeah, maybe also from our side, to then be clear on that, if the moment that we have a good pre-feasibility study and there is clarity on your side and the side of BPPJ and Bapanas, how you would like to take this forward, we are obviously open to perhaps have a separate consultancy assignment that focuses then on taking that part, which actually is prioritized then, and for which financing will be available within the Blue Book or a revised Blue Book or what have you. Then we can have that discussion at that time. So I think that would be the way forward for this particular item.
Yeah, I think it will be good if we have the meeting with Bapanas and BPPG before the pre-FS will be launched.
Yeah, no, we can 100%. We can indeed align and make sure that that's there. What I would propose, and that's a discussion I will also have then with the consultants, is to see budget-wise what's the impact of doing a pre-feasibility study for this whole area, and how can we still do that within this. And indeed, what you said, Pakin, is also that there are some basic designs there that could be included in their exercise, so they can also make an assessment how many hours they would need to spend on this, such that they get a good quality pre-feasibility study that we can use for our discussions going forward. And I understand from you, before we have that assignment provided, let's also have a discussion to align with BOPPJ and Bappenas
sure.
on this
Sure,
pre-feasibility study. Yeah.
I think it's clear for Chairman, Pak Iran.
Yes, that's clear for me. I think that if you agree with this approach, that would make sense. Maybe Ivo, you would like to add something?
Yeah, if I may just add, or maybe also ask a question, because I do understand that, especially in pre-feasibility, it's preferred to have those both Zone A's and Zone B be explored, to say so. I think Jeroen already indicated that Zone A is more large than the original Zone A we included in our terms of reference. I just like to understand, because during the TOR as part of the grant arrangement, we did already some discussions, and we finally agreed on that specific zone. And I think we also include within the discussion Zone B and also the larger side, but ultimately we made the scope of the TOR as part of the grant arrangement quite small, as indicated by Barun. So I just like to understand why, let's say, in contrary to the outcome of the discussions, now the scope is again larger, or otherwise, can we learn from that discussion before? And is there, why is it now that we are broaden the scope again? Do you have an explanation for that, Mahendra?
Actually, in the last workshop with BOPPG, they indicated maybe whole the coastal of Cirebon is important, Pak Ivo. Actually, that's the the point of the last meeting. Yeah, I understand that the scope of study will be larger than the previous one. I understand that. And then the consultant will takes time and takes the more resource to overcome to get the good study result. But based on the last meeting, also from Pak Kepala Balai himself asked us to put the Zone B into the priority, Pak Ivo.
Okay. Yeah, I do know that Jeroen is saying, okay, you're asking me more, so I have to see how does rely with the contract, to say so. And so that's Jeroen's role, and I fully understand that. And I think it's good that he signals that. But nevertheless, I just try to understand, because I was thinking that we're already having that discussion before, also with BBS and with BOPPJ, and we've been there, let's say, we also the consults team that time. So, and that time we try to do our best to narrow the scope, and we ultimately focusing on, let's say, more like the city area in combination with a little bit go to the north in the Zone A. And now we, let's say, in my feeling, we're going some steps back, which might be explained, but I think it's good to understand it with each other before we jump into running and try to do the activities.
Yes, yeah, we understand. Thank you, Pak Ivo. Actually, in my experience under this dynamic situation, Pak Ivo, a lot of change. Maybe every week, every meeting, there are a lot of requests to put some part is important, some part is not priorities, some kind like that situation. But maybe if we can agree in some part, maybe I will report to Pak Director, and then I will update to you if there is some other dynamic situation again.
Yeah, and maybe just, Mahendra, I do understand the context, and I think from our side, to say so, both me and Jeroen, we are flexible, but nevertheless, I think it's good to take also the outcomes of that initial, let's say, discussions also on the table to see what is the value of that discussions and the outcome in the current context of today and maybe tomorrow.
Actually, maybe it's better, Pak Irun, Pak, if we make the chronologically status from this from the previous meeting and the next meeting. Maybe every meeting I will show to you the what changed in every meeting. But I think is it okay for you?
Yeah, I think it's good that we all understand and I think things can change there, and I think we are flexible on our side and do understand the current context. But it's good to at least to understand with each other why we're moving sometimes from left to right.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Pak Ivo.
Thank you, Pak. Thank you, Ivo. Indeed, maybe then to the MAC area. Like I said, we are not in favor of adding the area behind the offshore dike. We find this, let's say, impractical to the extent that from a procurement perspective and from a financing perspective, it's also not entirely clear whether we would be financing then the implementation thereof, or whether that would fall within the same contract or would become a separate contract, also from the implementation perspective. So I'm just curious. I understand that you have had discussions, or your director has had discussion with BOVPJ, and you've made a decision with regards to a boundary. That doesn't mean that in terms of the D2B, that was in terms of our consultancy assignment, that it was agreed that we would actually take this part up in our study. So we're not in favor of considering this area, but I'm happy to put it on the table and hear your thoughts.
Bu Ari mau ini
Hendra dulu deh Pak, kan yang ini urgensinya.
Okay, actually, what Pak Director in his understanding, actually, how can I say it? The offshore dike will not start immediately, or not finish immediately, maybe within 5 or 8 years. So in that case, we need some protection around the coastal area behind that offshore dikes. So that in his understanding. So in that case, maybe we still need some kind like coastal dike, or by Pak Mark, let's say it's reservoir dike, so to separate the inland area and sea area. That from the engineering perspective, that is his understanding, Pak Director. I don't know, because maybe Bu Ari can add some explanation about the administration process. How about the procurement? How about to separate this part from the other part in the other green line? Maybe Bu Ari can add some explanation.
Yes, Byron. Now we are talking about the stage in the pre-FS stage, right? So I think we have to see all of the situations broader than the DD and everything's like that. So is it still possible to include all of this intervention? At least we will do in the red line here, but in the next few years, I think, I don't know, with the Badan Otorita plan will be built for the green here in the small box here. So I think if still possible with you to cover all of the FS with this alignment, the green one. So I think it will be better we start with that first. But I don't know. It's the this. I think that's my understanding for the last meeting, as Pak Hendra also mentioned.
Yeah. Actually, the green line is clear. I think Bu Ari, Pak Iron, Pak Ivo, green line is clear. That will be the coastal
It's
dike.
our coastal dike and our authority to build for the implementation. Yeah.
So let's discuss about the red line. So we understand that it's very difficult from procurement point of view, yeah, Pak Iron.
Yeah, and also maybe okay. So for the technical logic, that is something that I leave to the consultant maybe to also advise on, in terms of, does it make sense that such a two dike structure actually makes sense in this particular environment? Well, that's not a question you should ask me. Having said that, for that part, you're saying PU is responsible, and you need to also allocate financing within the Blue Book for that. Is that what I understand? Or are you using other sources of financing, such as the APBN outside an external loan?
Gimana Bu Ari?
No, it depends on how much all of the intervention or investment will be covered under your result. I mean, if the consultant have a result under the pre-FS, the total amount is how much bigger is that? Then the existing amount in the blue book and propose to into the green book 150, how much it can be cover all of the intervention then under pre-FS. So I can say that this all of the pre-FS should be covered into the loan project, because we still not sure how much the total cost that we may need for this section. But for the government funding, we also cannot say anything for this time. Whether the other source of funding is maybe possible for this. So of course we need to see first the result of the pre-FS of this area, and also in line with the plan of the Badan Otorita, whether this is become kind of the retention pond or something, an estuary, something. But we cannot say that we will build and we allocate it with other source of finance if the loan is not covered for this area. I can say anything about this for this discussion, but it may be if 150 is enough to cover for all of the demand, then we will do this alignment.
Ivo, you want to?
That's it, yeah.
Yeah, when the idea came up yesterday, I do understand Jeroen his hesitation to do, let's say, especially in the southern part, to do only a part of a more complex project. But actually, maybe there is a different framing, as I just copy what Pahendra is saying, that actually from BU's side, you want to have the coastal dike along the whole area from north to south want to be protected and may be phased. There will, on the southern part, there will be an offshore dike, including a retention area. So I think in that sense is the question to invest international from PU side, just to have at least a pre-feasibility along the whole north coast, the whole coast. And I think the special question when it comes to the southern part is to create a coastal dike which is adaptive in the sense that there might be an offshore dike in the future phased, which is a different project. But so I think if you frame it, if this is the storyline of your question of to invest, I think to some, but I think it's more easier to accommodate in that sense. But if you say no, we're building directly also an outer seawall and a storage pond. And all ships and all excavators and everything and complexity, then it might be difficult and make a clear cut between those. But maybe if your question is, let's start to draw a working coastal protection along the whole coastline, I think that is more easy, at least up to the pre-feasibility phase, to accommodate, to my understanding.
Yeah, thank you, Pak Ivo. Actually, that understanding will be helpful if we learn from NCICD project. We built the coastal dike with no regret measure term. So in that case, if it's possible to apply that situation in Demak, is it possible or some kind like that, Pak Ivo? So in 2 or 3 years, we will build the coastal dike, and in the next 5 or 8 years, the
maybe
offshore dike will be built.
One element that I would like to add to this is the economic analysis for a coastal dike will be very different, assuming that the offshore dike will be there or whether it's not going to be there. For us, it's basically going to end up in an inconclusive analysis to some extent, because there's an interdependency between the two areas. So you cannot mention it as a no. It's never a no regret, therefore, because you are planning to have an offshore dike. If there was not that plan, then maybe this would be a good way forward. This, by the way, excludes the whole problem of land subsidence due to groundwater extraction. In this area is particularly bad. So I find building in 2 structures is, how sustainable is that investment? So I do have real questions on this particular area. I think from our point of view, if we were in the lead for both the offshore dike, for the water reservoir, for a type of idea around an estuary or whatever, fine, we can take it up. But here you're defining up responsibilities in a way that creates a lot of questions. So, okay, well, what is the plan? What is going to be built here? I'm really hesitant around taking this part on, given that there will be a lot of assumptions made in the feasibility to be able to have some type of proposal for this particular structure. From a budgeting and technical perspective, they might be able to do it. But whether you can justify it, that needs to really link up to the master plan and to, okay, how will that fit into the broader picture? So there needs to be then alignment in the timeline of both proposals, the offshore and the coastal dike, which might then lead you to think, can we meet a Q1 27 Green Book proposal for this whole stretch? I have my doubts on that. So I'm also being practical with regards to, could we then say sequence the northeast of the MAC as a priority now, with a view to Q1 2027 Green Book proposal, but this part underneath, we need to see what is an appropriate timeline for that. So basically separating the two pieces apart, because also from a procurement perspective, they might be separate in any case.
So if I may ask Pak Irun, for SMI, the consultant asked to do the reservoir dike for this area is already decided?
I don't know exact scope of the SMI study, and I have the feeling that that has also been a subject of conversation in the last months to see what is actually really included there. So the news, so that's
Yeah, actually, if I may add some information about the last meeting with BOPPG, actually, the consultant or SMI didn't have enough budget to do the detail engineering design for the actually for the whole area. So they only have the budget for free FS and basic design.
and that's why I'm also saying that if they are asking us to do studies for something that they would like to know and what we're not financing, we're not interested in that. So that's a little bit where we do need to be clear also to SMI and BPPJ to say, we understand that you see a benefit for this type of work and that you're asking PU to do it. That doesn't mean that we are going to put in money now to do this in terms of studies.
If I may, I understand what you're saying, Jeroen, and I think that there is a willingness from Invest International to also see to what extent they can play a role more on the southern part. But given the complexity and at least given the wish to also be the financial in the future, not spending any consultancy service without a perspective on financing, I think this area needs more, let's say, discussions about the role sharing and about the possibilities how to take it up. I feel with you that maybe you separate that in the north and south, but that at least I think the governance and the alignment for the northern side is more clear. So maybe we can move ahead at least with the northern side and maybe have some further discussions on possible role sharings in the more southern part, but that should be then most probably a different or an additional project. But I'm not sure Ibu Ari doesn't give any reaction on this. What kind of dilemmas are you with this approach?
We are not sure for the second project and
So what I do feel is that, of course, especially from BOPPJ side, it's nice to have the part of the D2B assignment within their scope. So especially when there is a lack of funding at that side. So I do understand their request and their position. But nevertheless, that cannot be the primary reason to shift to the scope, of course, unless there might be opportunities to work together in that area, but not primarily for this given reason.
Actually, Pak Ivo, Pak Irun, Bu Arya, maybe we need some more several meeting with BOPPJ to tackle this situation and to make more details decision about this part, Pak Ivo, Bu Ari. Especially for this part, for the retention area and the reservoir dike, or let's say so-called as coastal dike.
If I may, Pa Henry, I refer to the agreement Ibu Ari just showed, which has been signed on the, I think, the 8th of August, between PTSMI, PU, and BPJ. It seems clear that there is a clear division between, let's say, the northern side and the southern side of what we're now looking at. So in that sense, I think also the approach forward, which is expressed by Jeroen now, is, I think, in line with what's the agreement about role sharing. But please correct me if I'm wrong. But in parallel, of course, we can have a further discussion, maybe first internally within the government of Indonesia, and later with Invest International, how to cooperate in that more southern part.
Yes. Actually, the reservoir term or reservoir plan for the BOPPG have to be clear as soon as possible, Pak Ivo, because in that case the budget cannot be spent on that part.
No, and I also hear Pa Jeroen saying that he's very much open to have a discussion about it, but nevertheless try not to connect the two things in terms of complexity, not only technically but especially financing wise, procurement wise, etc.
Okay, so let's not talk about the procurement or financing first, Pak Ivo. Yeah, maybe let's talk it later. Is it is it possible? I don't know, but maybe from Bu Ari side.
I just want to make sure, because I'm not following all of the technical discussion with Badan Otorita. So I think this is the length of the onshore dike is around 23 kilometers. Yeah.
Yeah, in total.
In total. So if we let's say if this is the complicated area, I think if we take it behind, is it any problem from a technical perspective? I just ask because I'm not following all of the technical discussion ya. Kalau yang ini ditinggal, pre-FS-nya hanya yang coastal ini, ada efeknya kah? Is there any impact on the technical perspective? I'm because I'm not following all of the technical discussion with Badan Otorita. Actually, the red box we take outside and prepare pre-FS only focus on this, the green line, but only only this onshore part. Is there any impact on the technical side?
Actually, all the parts are critical. So, and in that meeting, deputy and director mentioned that the coastal dike on that part also have to be built, even though the coastal dike will not some kind of like giant structure like the offshore dike, but in that part they say, the director and deputy said, that we have to separate the inland area and the sea area to have some kind of like exact boundary between them. Jadi pembatas, Bari.
Ya tetap harus dibuat. Maksudnya kalau kita take out itu tapi nantinya tetap kita buat kan ya?
Yeah. So we cannot take it out actually.
Okay. So for us, Yeah, I just
We
want
will
to.
build it anyway.
So I mean, if the invest take out on this area, even though the FS is included, then we have to finance all of this dike, right? If this is the if the coastal deck should be there. I mean, I just want to also prepare for this location. So yeah, so for the back to the back to the scope for the pre FS. Once again, I'm asking to Pak Iren, is it possible to cover all of this area, including this? But I understand you the economic analysis is different. But maybe for the implementation, we will think things later after we see all of the studies to help us for the pre-FS, because this is from the technical process. We should build on the shore dike.
Yeah, no, I hear what you're saying, and I think that from our side, it's not the preferred way. We would prefer that part to be an integrated element done perhaps by one party, such as BOPPJ. If they're doing the offshore dike, you can do the whole dike construction such that you do it in one go. Then you have the least problems from an implementation perspective. However, if you're saying, no, this is not the way we have institutionally agreed to take this forward, then the question becomes, who does the study, who does the financing, and who does the procurement for that onshore bit, and that seems to be with you. Let's maybe indeed take this up. I would also like to check in with the consultant what that means for an assignment that we have with them. So let me take that up with the consultant first and see how to approach it. I think that what's clear that if the financing need exceeds what's being allocated, then we need to have a discussion obviously on that by the end of phase one, to see okay, what is the priority then in terms of where to put the blue book financing, or can we increase that amount and to what extent. So for now, I think concluding, because I also need to go to my next meeting in 2 minutes, the green part is clear. That will be part of the exercise. I think for the red part that is behind the offshore, we need some coordination going forward in terms of okay, how this will work, and what is the implication in terms of the assignment that we have with the consultant. Is there space for this activity? If you're also doing the pre-feasibility study for a Chiribon Zone A and B. So these are also implications that we need to take forward. But unfortunately, I have to go and shift to my next meeting. But that's where we stand.
Okay, so so within this meeting, we conclude that all of these two locations, based on our topic geographic area, we already agreed. But I'm also checking our side for the implementation part, especially for the area that we still have some kind detailed discussion with Badan Otorita. So for the Cirebon, as Pak Hendra said, for the zone B, the consultant will not start from the zero. So if they can help by our data, so I hope we can include in the pre-FS. So I think this is the first topic that we can finish for today. But for the other mechanism, procedures, technical approval for the technical teams and others, maybe we will discuss it later, or we can correspond by email. Okay.
Thank you, Boo.
Okay, thank you, Pak Irun. Thank you, Pak Ivo. Is there anything left to say? You want to say something, Pak Ivo?
No, it's okay. In this context, I think we discussed everything.
Okay, thank you. Terima kasih, Bapak Ibu. So we finish with one agenda discussion for the geographic area. So we will see. Kita akan lihat masing-masing untuk pendetailannya, dan kita akan ketemu lagi jika memang perlu diskusi secara bilateral with the Invest International. We will meet again if we need a bilateral discussion with the Invest. Terima kasih, kami akhiri. We close this meeting. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you.
Assalamualaikum.
Terima kasih, Pak Ivo.
Thank you, Pak Ivo. Thank you, Pak Irun.